Hello, world. Welcome to Collider Convo, where we chat with the innovative leaders driving the next wave of digital business solutions. My name is Ryan.
I'm Jacob.
And together we run Collider, where business leaders go to collaborate, get unstuck, and supercharge their digital strategy.
And of course, Collider is powered by Altimetric, a pure play data and digital engineering services company focused on business growth.
Please be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube and visit collider.altimetric.com to learn how Collider and Altimetric can help catalyze your digital business strategy.
Thank you, Ryan. And today we are very excited to be talking about how an effective digital business platform can simplify and accelerate end-to-end product development life cycles. So to help us do that, we're joined by a very special guest, Loïc Giraud, Chief Operating Officer at Calibo, which specializes in providing one such digital business platform that we're very excited to dive into and talk about more today. So to kick that off, organizations face all types of challenges with complexity of running a business, technology environment, and all sorts of other things. But our guest today helps companies using this amazing tool called Calibo, helps companies to simplify this and to help leaders focus on digital innovation and business outcomes in the process. So Loïc, would love to kick it off to you and just ask, what is Calibo all about?
Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Jacob, thank you for inviting me to share my perspective on digital business and digital business platforms. So to start off, Calibo is a self-service development platform. With Calibo, we aim to simplify the digital experience by orchestrating a digital data journey and a product life cycle, and using self-service automation and cloud technology to do so. The objective that we have is to help business to solve their pain points and try to accelerate their transformation into the digital space. We aim to provide productivity and help them to actually rejuvenate their technology stack to be able to solve unsolvable problems.
Very cool. And I'm excited to break that down a bit and get into more detail. But before we do that, tell us a bit about your role specifically as COO, Chief Operating Officer at the company.
Yeah, so I joined actually Calibo in March of this year, and then I transitioned from industry into product technology company. And at Calibo, we are a young startup. We have been here for 3 years, and we are actually starting to commercialize our product as of 2023. So as part of my role of Chief Operating Officer, I'm responsible to execute the strategy of the company on one hand, but also try to build customer success and customer support team to be able to help our customers to take values from the product that we sell and they purchase. At the same time, I'm responsible to build up the backbone process for our organization can grow and scale to become the next unicorn in the Detroit state.
Absolutely. Hopefully not just Detroit, but around the whole world. So question for you is, so digging a bit deeper, you mentioned kind of some of the motivations in your description of what Calibo is, but I was hoping you could go into more detail about why did your team build this solution?
Yeah, so if you look at for the last 5 or 6 years, a lot of organizations have tried to actually move into this digital transformation. But when you really look at how many organizations succeeded to get value from the transformation, there's not that many, right? So a lot of analysis shows that more than 90% of digital transformations fail to deliver business value. And when you look at why they do that, there's few elements that are often coming back. First and foremost, the organization live on legacy technology and fragmented data and systems. The second is, I think, that the business doesn't take the ownership of the transformation. They let the technologies to take the ownership. And the third one is actually that the organization are not able to break the silos. Even silos are data or systems or organizational principles. And this prevents them to get the value from digital transition and transformation. So in 2022 alone, 240 billion were spent in digital transformation, whether or not it's data, product, or platform. And if you can think about 90% of this is sunk cost, right? So I think we at Calibo think that we can actually use this actually effort and to bring much more value to the world, and by helping the organization to concentrate their effort in what matters most, which is frankly looking at their problem and trying to solve, instead of actually building a digital platform engineering solution that support those problems to be solved.
Wow. So it sounds like you all are really, I mean, you're on your way and you're making it sound really smooth, right? But I'm wondering, have there been some challenges on the way, and what challenges does Calibo solve?
Yeah. So when I look at, if I look at Calibo, I will say that we are a digital platform that is actually or we have a cloud software engineering environment that allows product team to scale business problems and deliver business outcome at pace. And then if I look at my own experience working in Novartis or in my peer network, a lot of organizations are trying to build cloud software engineering platform. But I think even in fact, in many organizations, they have many teams that are building with such platform. But when they look at the ultimate goal of this platform is to help product team to build data product that solve business problems. And then when you look at the balance on whether or not you solve a problem versus you're building a platform, much of the time is spent on building the environment that support the product. And we believe that there is no need to reinvent the wheel all the time. We think that you can simply reuse what already exists and try to actually build on top of that in order to actually address the problem that you have faster. And then this is where we are coming from. We provide an environment that is ready to be deployed in customer organization, and using our platform, in a day or two, the business can start build data product and solve analytics issues.
Oh, wow, that's fast. Okay.
And so what types of companies are you talking about here? So I imagine there's different folks tuning in, that this might be resonating from different kind of angles. Who's the ideal fit for this type of solution?
So we look at two sides of customers. So first, I think there's a lot of actually, I would say, digital starter. A lot of companies which are probably smaller in size, which have more following the digital transition, and those companies at this point of time, they want to start to actually build on the cloud and transition to digital, but they have not capability nor capacity to do that. So for those companies, I think we believe that we are a sweet spot, because we offer a digital platform where they can build their solution without having the need to build engineering teams and having a specialized resource to do that. On the other side of the spectrum, we have this large organization, which are mostly in the Forbes or Fortune 2000, and they have already built digital transformation and platform solutions in the last 4 to 5 years. But they finally realize that it is unsustainable to continuously get their platform to evolve, and they are ready to make a switch to actually build something on top of an existing platform that is more cost effective and somebody else is going to build and mature. So we are looking at these two segments at the moment, and I think in both customer categories we have some success.
That's great. And then, so for organizations that, you know, for someone, a leader of an organization who's listening, understands the value, and is curious about what the actual implementation of this type of solution looks like, it sounds like potentially a lot to get started, and then it's smooth. Could you help us understand, you know, what does that, at the highest level, kind of what does the implementation piece of it look like? And also, like, I'm curious to know, you know, is it fully platform agnostic? So if I'm using a given, you know, my data might be in some different tools now, and I assume most of the organizations you're working with have legacy systems that are doing a bunch of different disparate things. So how does it help everything? Do they need to switch over to tools that play nice with the software, or is it something that meets folks where they're at and is works into their existing systems?
Yeah, so when we look at so first of all, I think when we look at the customer environment, we've realized that I think there's a lot of variety in the customer ecosystem. So whether or not it's actually technology or database or data file format, I think it is very scattered and heterogeneous. And then we actually cater for the difference, right? So we are a platform where we integrate with 150 different technology at this point of time. And then we support a variety of data source and data type. And the primary goal we have is actually to be able to integrate to the environment that the customer have when they want to use that. But we've also realized that sometimes it's easier to get innovation when you build your platform, your innovation platform, in parallel to your current ecosystem. Because it's not only the ecosystem you have, it's also the process that are supporting this ecosystem as well as the people working on it. So we usually, when we come into a customer place, we try to actually build a platform and separate that platform from the rest of the environment. So we can build a methodology that is associated with our platform, and then onboard product teams so they focus on innovation and business outcome rather than just trying to be embedded into the legacy process and team that exists to date in this large organization.
Very cool. Wow, thanks for that. So, I mean, while we're on the topic of innovation, how are you specifically helping companies take ownership of their own innovation, or even just like drive that daily innovation internally? How do you keep that going, or how do you spark that?
Yeah, so first, I think when we have actually built our own proprietary methodology, which is called digital business methodology, and helps organizations to rethink the way that they look at the business problem, right? And this starts with business ownership, right? So you really need to get the business to take ownership of the business problem and how the problem is going to be solved. And from there, you define your OKR, or objective and key results. You build your product teams, and then you get embedded into the feature set and the story points, and then you build iteratively your solution. And for that, I think you deliver incremental outcome using a bite-sized approach that help the business to realize the value of the investment. Now, to complement this, I think you usually associate that with an engineering or cloud engineering platform, which is called a digital business platform, and where the data product teams can come together and address their business problems. Right? And in that business platform, you can enforce policies. So when you have multiple teams working on it, you can make sure they conform to the rules that have been defined by an organization. And hence you get productivity and speed to outcome.
So the results you would say that the results are that speedy outcome. And that's so, but are there, I guess I asked you this already though, but it's like, I'm wondering, it's because it sounds so great. And it's like, are there challenges along the way? Does there, ever, like, are there things that like pop up that are like out of the blue? Or no, is everything, once you implement this digital business methodology, it's like surefire and straight to the solution?
I don't think it's like, nothing is rocket science or crystal ball here, right? So I think it's everything is actually a iterative process. So I guess the first thing is that you really have to get the teams to unlearn what they know, because that is what they know usually is a constraint to the future innovation. So I think if that's one thing that you have to do first, change the culture, and then try to help them to adopt an agile methodology. Number one. I think number two is I think you really have to be focused on specific areas at start, right? And then try to make sure you don't try to blow the ocean and then try to integrate with everything that exists. And then only over time, I think once you have one or two success, you have to go and start to scale. And when you start to scale, this is where the problem comes, because then you start to have friction between the team and dependencies between technologies and source data. And that's actually where the maturity model comes into place. So I will say that start small, try to adapt the culture in your organization, try to focus on incremental delivery, try to show results for the business, and try to make sure that the business take ownership and is supported by an engineering group that is willing to collaborate together with business colleagues.
Okay, got it. So you talked about starting small. I think earlier you mentioned like these bite-sized chunks. So is there a specific success story that you can share where these, bite-sized methods have done well?
Yes, I mean, one of our first customers is called Nature Sweet, and they actually produce tomatoes. So they have more than 800 greenhouse, and they started to work with us 6 months ago, and in the first 2 months they were able to save 8 million tons of tomato, like by simply better forecasting their yield using our platform. When you look to our CIO or to their CIO, the CIO mentioned that using Calibo, they were able to do things in 2 months that would have taken them 18 months to build if they had to create their own team and engineer the platform and build a solution. And this is where we are in. This is actually a story where in the times where you have issues in producing food, I think that for people, you don't want to waste 8 million tons of tomato. You can produce and use them where they need.
Totally. Right. That's great. And then you mentioned briefly earlier that you were the former global head of digital for Novartis, which for those that aren't familiar is a global leader in the pharmaceutical industry, if I'm not mistaken. And so my understanding, so you oversaw the implementation. Altimetric works with Novartis. I believe that's how you got acquainted, if I'm not mistaken. So folks tuning in, you might notice, Loic's describing the digital business methodology. This ties in closely with Altimetric. We work closely with Calibo on a variety of projects. I was hoping you could describe for us in more detail kind of what your experience was like working as a client of Altimetric. So what was that experience like when you were at Novartis? And then kind of out of that specifically, what about that experience, inspired you to join the Calibo team and really, run with this and help other clients to help other companies to see the light with this type of solution?
So when I used to work at Novartis, I was responsible for their digital transformation and the related capabilities. And I had about 500 products to build on different platforms and almost 5,000 engineers to support me. And I really struggled to build requirements into a short period of time. So in average, when customers will give me a feature to build on a product, it will take me 6 months before it can be deployed. And I was struggling because if you think about, business doesn't have 6 months to wait for every feature that they want to have. And I was trying to find solutions where we can be more effective in the way that we work. And this is how I got engaged with Altimetric the first time. And Altimetric helped to to improve our processes and the culture and how we build data products. And over time, it actually helped me to sort of build my engineering platform and try to actually solve some of these problems. And from that, I think they started to build the product with Calibo. And I was so convinced by the work that the Altimetric colleagues have done for Novartis. And talking to my peers in other companies, I realized that there was something big to be done here. And that's exactly why I joined Calibo, and that is why I believe in a mission. I really do believe that many organizations can benefit from an organization that is opinionated in how a digital business solution should be built and enabled.
That's amazing. Thank you. So you mentioned, I noticed, you're talking about the digital business methodology, that a key aspect of it is that it's owned by the business teams. And my understanding is that can be unique depending on the organization, that sometimes there's a siloing between the business and technology teams. So given your past experience at Novartis and your current experience with Calibo, could you talk about kind of that tension and how your approach looks to address that, and specifically, like, for a technology team that's struggling with a challenge like you've described, whether that's with your work at Novartis or the other examples, how do you work to ensure that this stays focused on business outcomes? How do we do that differently?
Yes, so in this is a very good question, Jacob, and I think that it's actually probably the most difficult question to address in large organizations. So in many organizations, what happens is that they have the business team, they have technology team, and they are completely separate, and they are working under different structures. So the objective of technology team is to try to ensure operational stability and cost efficiency, but not necessarily focus always on building innovation. At the same time, the business wants actually have to run their operational process, but they also have a willingness to innovate. And the business is in this digital transformation is often the person that is catalyst to the transition, but they're not actually the one that have the execution power to be able to do that, which often rely into the technology team. And that's where the frustration comes. And they don't understand how they can deliver a solution at pace when the technology team have to work on cost efficiencies and reduction and stability. So I think that this tension is coming from that, and of course that the other reason why the tension is coming is from the tech debt that large organizations have with fragmented legacy and outdated systems. So I think what we do at Calibo is we provide a unique platform where everyone in the product team is able to access and to see a complete visibility of the work that is being done. And I think this is a unique proposition, that because we follow the product from the inception into the deployment, and at any point of time, anyone can contribute to the creation of that product without having the need to be able to be techie savvy.
Very cool. And I don't know if it's because I'm hungry or just hungry to learn more, but like we talk about this bite-sized approach and like these bite-sized ways of inputting the information or taking things in. But what I'm hoping that you can elaborate more on what like the bite-sized outcomes look like when it comes to the digital business methodology.
Yeah, so if you think about when you look at data analytics product, right, and then you probably have a lot of features, right? So I think, for example, maybe you look at let's assume that you look at customer portfolio, and then first of all you want to analyze your customer portfolio. So you may create a product around input my sales, and then you can deliver sales performance as the first version of your product. In the second version, you want to look at churn. Maybe what's the customer churn that I have, and then you have actually additional feature for that. And in the third version, you want to look at the cross-sell opportunities or product rationalization. So this is what I would call bite-sized approach. You divide your problem into smaller chunks that can be implemented iteratively and create an output to the customer. So the customer see the viability of the product that you build and can adjust, I think, his needs accordingly over a period of time.
Makes a ton of sense. Another aspect of, so I think it was in our previous conversation, I'm not sure if you mentioned this today, but Something that's come up a number of times is the reusable components aspect of the platform. I was hoping you could just like explain the thought process there and how that actually works in practice. So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yes. So if you look at when you're building data product, okay, so you're basically looking at an ideation process. How you build, how you create requirements, and how you move your requirement into an artifact, and from that artifact, how you move into development stage. And when you get into development stage, you have few areas. You have to provision infrastructure, provide access to data, and then you start to build pipeline, right? So, and so many of these tasks can be automated and reused, right? So if I look at infrastructure, you can automate the provisioning of the infrastructure. Access management, you can provision the data access. And then in the pipeline creation, there's many steps that are repetitive. And I think our platform is trying to bring this automation in those steps that we believe provide simplification for the users and don't require so much technical knowledge. So you can think like a dummy user like myself could go into Calibo and then build a data solution without writing a line of code. So I think this is where the reusable component comes from. And of course, I think over a period of time, the more and more data product you build, the more asset you are in your platform, and then the more value you can get from existing build these build assets.
That's awesome. So you mentioned analytics, data analytics, a number of times. So would love to dig a bit deeper into that. So today's day and age, analytics are baked into every, individual tool and service that we're, using. But I know a key focus of the methodology is kind of bringing together all of these disparate data sources into what we call a single source of truth, such that business leaders can then make informed decisions based on comprehensive data across the organization. Obviously, easier said than done, particularly for a large organization. How does Calibo help to, I guess if you could talk about the process that Calibo uses to help bring those different disparate data sources together. And then if you could speak to that kind of single source of truth aspect of, how does this help business leaders drive better decision-making?
When you look at getting a single source of truth, first, I think you have to look at your data source, right? So I think and then you have to take your data source, you have to ingest them into into a lake or into a data mesh architecture from where that you can perform some data quality activities to get your data integrated and trusted. So where Calibo helps is first, I think that we integrate with all source file that exist, whether or not your structured, unstructured, your video or image information. And then we provide common ingestion pattern that you can ingest your data into a data store. And from there, I think we provide transformation logic that helps you to create your single source of truth. Calibo also offers data quality features, so you can ensure the validity of the information that is being processed through the life cycle of your pipeline. And hence, I think we also help them to discover the data that is at different stage of your product creation. So this way, I think we help the users to create data pipeline and data lake and data product without having the need and the importance to know how to code.
Got it. And then the information is all in the Calibo platform, pulled into a single place, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Yeah, so the information is processed through Calibo and is stored in the data lake of your choice, whether or not you're using an AWS or you're using Snowflake or Databricks, I think, or Microsoft Azure. Right? So we will process information and store them where in the storage of your choice.
That's great. I always enjoy our Altimetrics chairman, Raj Vadakudi, likes to say, turning a data swamp into a data lake, which I really like that analogy. Great. So one more question on my side. So you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that an estimated 90% of digital transformations fail, or something to that tune. So given everything we've discussed, I was hoping you could kind of just speak to if the current approach to digital transformation isn't working for most organizations, how is this solution? How does the digital business methodology and the Calibo digital business platform, how does it approach this differently in a way that reduces risk and increases the likelihood of such a transformation being successful?
So I think that we are, as opposed to many of the transformation, we are really looking at the end-to-end experience, and we are really trying to simplify the experience of the product team, irrespective of their role. And I think the reason why we believe we have I think we have more chance of success is we are not trying to do everything in one go. We are, as I mentioned, we are trying to build a solution using a bite-sized approach that is on the cloud and enforcing a methodology that is very that has been proven in many customer scenarios, and that methodology is being enforced through our platform. Right, so that's the way that we believe we are. We have actually more likelihood to succeed in solving business challenges than actually many of the current cases that the organization try to perform.
Very exciting.
Yes, I can leave with one more question, just one more. And it's like more of a message. Like, if you have any words of encouragement for business leaders who may be feeling stuck, what would that be?
I would say, like, learn what you know and start to innovate and make your team to conform into a new methodology by applying software engineering principle on the cloud.
And that's spoken from someone who did it with a team of 5,000 engineers. So, that's great, Loïc. Thank you. So as we wrap up, where can business leaders tuning in, where can they learn more about the Calibo platform, maybe connect with you or the team? What's the best way to get more information and to get in touch?
Yeah. So if you want to know more about Calibo, I think you can follow up on LinkedIn, and we have our LinkedIn page with a lot of collateral that we share on a regular basis, or you can go to our website, www.calibo.com. At the same time, we are coming into 2 upcoming events: Biotech X in Basel, the first week of October, and the Gartner Symposium for Executive and CIO in Orlando, mid-October. So thank you, Jacob and Ryan, for inviting me today. It was a pleasure to share my experience, and hopefully at least we get a lot of people following up and taking ownership of their transformation.
That's right. Well, thank you so much, Loïc. It's been a pleasure. It's been very insightful per usual. So I just appreciate your presence. And to everyone watching, thank you all for tuning in. Please do be sure to visit collider.altimetric.com to learn more about the Collider team and what we've got going on. And we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Loïc. Excited to keep this conversation going.